What's up, everybody? I'm Robbie. Welcome to the channel where we're going to talk about tech for the rest of us. In today's video, we're going to be unboxing the iPhone 14 Pro Max. And so that just came in right there. Yeah. So let's get into it. So you're thinking about upgrading to a new phone. Well, the iPhone 14 is a pretty good option for you. And to really get into it, it comes in 4 different colors. You got space black, silver, gold, and deep purple. You can also get up to 1 terabyte of storage. That's pretty insane how far these things have come to fit 1 terabyte inside of this. So this one weighs about just under 8.5 ounces. And so it's got some pretty decent weight to it. My hand spans about 8 inches across, and it's going to fit in my hand fairly nicely. But that is a big phone. So peel that. Now, the thing with the iPhone 14 Pro Max is they have upgraded this screen to a higher resolution. And so I think you're really going to notice a difference. I've got the iPhone 14 Pro here, not the Max, just the Pro. And that one, I've been using it now for almost a week, maybe just a little over a week. And I've really noticed, even with the screen, a big difference between that and my 11 Pro. And the difference on those that you can see, that one's a little dirty, had some use to it. So the other thing that you're going to notice right away from an upgrade, if you were using something like an 11, 12, maybe a 13, is you're going to notice the camera is significantly larger on these. And so check out that size. I'll lay them here so you can see. So I've got a 14 Pro, 14 Pro Max, and then right here we've got an 11 Pro. And so they've upgraded the camera to 48 megapixels. We've gone from 12 megapixels to 48 megapixels, and that's a lot of megapixels in there. Now, your ultra wide lens as well as your zoom lens are still the 12 megapixel that came standard in the iPhones previous to this. But now to take some of those pictures, it's just going to look phenomenal. You're gonna be able to zoom in, crop in, print those, make a poster, whatever you want to do out of that. Now, I think a lot of times that we get really caught up in how many megapixels something is. Really, it just comes down to how much you're going to zoom in on it and what kind of color saturation you can get from those. I used to work in a camera shop during college, and people always wanted more and more megapixels, but we'd point to 20 by 30 prints on the wall and be like, 6 megapixel camera took that, 12 megapixel took that. You can get a lot out of those megapixels. So really, what are you doing with it? How much processing are you going to do? How much editing to it? Are you going to be shooting actual portraits and things like that with it? Or are you just trying to get shots of the family? Most likely, 48 megapixels is going to be just fine for what you want to accomplish with this. So let's talk about video. You can get 4K video on this. I'm actually surprised they haven't put 8K in there. Maybe with the 15 they'll do that. But 4K video up to 60 frames per second. So the higher that frame rate goes, the more pictures it's taking per second, frames per second. And you think about each frame as being a picture, we can take 60 of those every second, meaning that now I can slow it down and now I can get slow motion. So if you want to shoot slow motion on these, you can. You're going to drop your resolution to 1080p, so not quite 4K, way less, and you can shoot 120 frames per second or 240 frames per second. So 240 still images all put together that show that motion moving, and you can slow that down a lot. I personally think 60 is probably good enough for what most of us want to do with slow motion. If less that, man, maybe get a GoPro or something like that, which I'm actually doing our above shots with a GoPro right now. The coolest thing on there, and I think they introduced this with the 13, is the cinematic mode. And I'm pretty impressed with the cinematic mode on this, is that when you are in it, we can go to cinematic And there is face detection, active face detection happening while you're taking this. I was at a group event the other day and kids were running around and it was trying to actively find their faces and give you that really nice shallow depth of field with your f-stop. And again, the lower that number is, the more blurry the background gets. And a lot of people like that shot. But the cinematic mode is going to shoot at 30 frames per second and give you that f-stop control that you can adjust where you want it to go. So pretty great on that. With the unboxing of the 14 Pro Max, it's going to get 29 hours of battery life. Let me set these aside. Up to 29 hours, 25 hours of streaming, and like 90 hours if you're listening to music, just listening to music on that. So inside the box, we're going to get just the cable, no charging block anymore for that. And so hopefully you've got a USB-C adapter to Lightning port as well in here, and then just some instructions on how to set it up. That's pretty much, they've reduced this box down where it used to have some AirPods, it used to have a charging block in it, and they've really streamed it down so it's just a much smaller box. The other thing on there is that when it opens, that camera's face up on that. So you're going to see a lot of those cases now actually have a bit more of a beveled edge coming down, or in some cases that have kind of kickstands on it to keep it up because that camera is so significantly big. Maybe you can see it there. I don't know if that's focusing on it. So just something to keep in mind. The other thing that they introduced with this is they actually got rid of the SIM card, and now they're using what they're calling an eSIM card. And so you can have up to two active SIMs, so two separate phones coming to it at once. But it will actually store 8 or more is what the tech specs say. So that's kind of interesting, that potentially you could have more lines coming into it at a time that are stored. So something interesting there for sure. I mean, I got to say, it feels really good. It feels heavy, but not too heavy. Really sturdy construction. I don't feel like I'm just going to break it, or if I drop it, that it's just not going to instantly shatter too, though it might. And so I think that's pretty impressive. This is going to go to the wife, and I prefer a little bit smaller when we come into just the Pro on that, but I like that size. I just like being able to, hit the entire screen with my thumb. So that's what we're doing there. So something to pay attention to on that. So now, should you upgrade? And I think that really comes down to it. I got a pretty good deal from our cell phone provider on these. And I think when I was looking at them, the pre-order came up and I'm looking at it, I'm seeing what it's going to cost me. And I'm just looking at it, I'm saying, maybe I'll just wait. Because really with the 11 Pro that I had, it was doing what I needed it to do. So now, if you're up for an upgrade and maybe you are in the market for a new phone, the 14 I think is going to be a great option for you. But otherwise, and maybe just stick with what you have on it, because hopefully they will introduce maybe a new charging port next time. You can get more of the camera, that front facing camera can get a higher quality, things like that can really get you going. Now I have to say, after using this iPhone 14 Pro for a few days now, it's been pretty impressive, the experience with it. I like the dynamic island at the top that you can see here that functions, and you can throw things up into that. If you're listening to music or something, you can throw it up in the dynamic island. It'll go up into that space there where you're going to take calls and things like that as well. I would love to know, what do you look for in a new phone when you're shopping? Is it just an iPhone, or have you considered maybe going over to an Android and checking that out? So leave a comment below. Make sure that you like and subscribe to this channel. We're just getting started, and we'll see you next time.